Hey everybody, just passing through the fish room here for a few minutes. I thought I'd stop and get a little bit of video of Butterbean just out and about cruising around. I just saw a couple of the shrimp swimming around in the tank a few minutes ago. There's one right now. Butterbean's making his way over to it in the corner. So I've definitely still got a few of those shrimp in here. I'm not sure how many total. I did see two of them simultaneously yesterday in the tank, so I know I've at least got two of the shrimp still in here. As far as I can tell, I've still got all my Bumblebee gobies. I haven't lost any of them. And then, of course, my two orange Sialfin Mollies in here are doing just fine. This tank is a 40 breeder, by the way. I've had a few people ask me about the size of this tank recently. I've kind of gotten out of the habit of mentioning it. I just assume everybody that's watching these videos has followed along and, knows the size of the tank and everything. So this is a 40 breeder. It is brackish water. I do keep it at the very low end brackish so that my plants do well enough. I'm actually seeing another one of those shrimp over in the far right hand corner back by the filter intake. So there's definitely still two of them. There's the one here that Butterbean's investigating. I've never actually seen him eat one of those shrimp. I've seen him investigate them, just like we saw. He checks them out, looks at them, and then he just seems to swim away. He doesn't really seem that interested in them. So I've never really been able to figure that out. I guess they do get eaten. Oh, look, I'm seeing another one right now. This one's going to be kind of tough to spot. You see that dark spot right in the middle of the rock? That's a shrimp right there. Zooming in like that lets me know my glass is getting a little dirty. I need to get that cleaned up again. I'm kind of at a loss for any algae eating, or I should say off-flux grazing. Man, those shrimp can move fast when they want to. I do have the Mollies in here, and they're fantastic algae eaters, but they're not off-flux grazers. And when I say off-flux grazers, I mean the kind of fish that people typically call algae eaters, the kind that actually latch onto and scrape and scour surfaces. They're actually grazing on the off-flux, not just eating algae. The Mollies, guppies, those kinds of fish eat algae. And if you've got a lot of algae in your tank and you've got some guppies or something, you'll notice where it looks like the lawn has been mowed. All of the algae will be cropped really short and it'll all be the same length. And that's because your actual algae eating fish, your mollies or your platies, your guppies, they'll get in there and they'll just nip that algae away, but they don't scrape it off of the surface. You need an off-flux grazer in order to do that. And unfortunately, there are no off-flux grazing fish that can tolerate brackish water, so there's nothing I can do in those regards for this tank. I could get a nearite snail, or even I believe the mystery snails or apple snails would work just fine in here in the brackish water. The problem is trying to keep a snail with a puffer is kind of pointless. It's just a large, food source for the puffer. So there's no point in trying to put a snail in here to keep my glass clean. So really there's nothing I can do as far as any kind of algae control like that. I basically just have to get in here and wipe the glass down from time to time whenever I get in here and do a video. On a final note, I will add that I am still waiting on a few of my videos to be monetized. I don't know what's going on with YouTube again. We went through this a while ago, and it all sort of got sorted out. I wasn't really having any problems with it. So what's going on now is I'm back to them questioning my monetization and telling me that my videos are coming up not suitable for advertisers. Now this is all done through, a human being has never even seen my video. It's just being flagged because of some computer algorithm. What they're searching for, what they look for, I do not know. I've had issues in the past with the titles of my videos. If I put something in there like one fish is bullying another, or, such and such killed so-and-so, stuff like that sounds like it's a video about bullying or about killing or attacking or stuff like that. I had issues with those. So I stopped using that kind of wording in my titles. And, I made a few adjustments on my part, and then YouTube seemed to actually get better about it. They stopped being so critical on every single video I posted, and they just kind of let me start monetizing my videos again. Now, one thing they will do is when they flag me and they say you can't monetize this video, I can request a review. And when I request a review, there's a little box I can check that I'm basically certifying to YouTube that I promise there's nothing offensive in this video. Just go ahead and monetize it now, and you can double check later to be sure. But in the meantime, just go ahead and get me monetized. And it used to be that when I would check that box, which I always check, within a couple hours, the video was remonetized, and then a few days later, I would get an email saying, yep, sure enough, we double checked and your video was fine, you can keep your monetization status, and so on and so forth. And that was just a routine I went through. I'd be told I can't monetize it, I'd click on the little box saying go ahead and monetize it anyway, and then a few days later I'd get confirmation saying, yep, you were right, the video's fine, you can keep your monetization. Well, that's not the case anymore. I'm clicking the little box promising them that there's nothing, offensive in my videos, but I'm now on day 3 of waiting for them to verify. It's not like they're not going to do it. It's still under review. They still haven't gotten around to checking it yet. Now, I'm not a really big channel, so I don't make YouTube a lot of money, and therefore they're not really concerned about getting over to me. I'm not YouTube's customer. I'm YouTube's product. We creators here on YouTube, I don't know how anyone else views their status on YouTube, but I'm fully aware of the fact that I'm a product on the shelf at YouTube, and my videos don't sell that much. I've got 13,000 subscribers, I get a few hundred views in a day. YouTube doesn't care about that. They care about the people that get 20 million views in the first week they've got a video out there, and people like me can just go hang, So that's where I am. I'm just waiting at this point for them to go ahead and tell me that my really, really offensive video about adding poultry grit to one of my aquariums to increase the mineral content, I know that's a really controversial subject matter, but I'm still under review to get that out there. Unfortunately, I've got a few more videos that are kind of pivotal on waiting for that one. These videos won't make sense until you've seen that one. Or at least I'll be referencing that video, and I'd like that video to be out there so that people know what video I'm referencing. Whether you're a regular viewer and have seen that video or not, I'd like to at least have it available, so if you wanted to go check that video out, it would be there, since I'm talking about it in this video. So I'm still stuck waiting for the monetization to happen. So, like I said, just be patient. I'm trying to still get videos out there like this one, but I do have several that are still just kind of sitting off to the side waiting for YouTube to get around to whatever they were doing. So, on a final note, I do want to mention about the plants in this tank. I shot a video recently where I talked about all these strange holes that you can see in all the Java Fern. I've had 4 main theories that have been posited. So far, I've got mineral deficiency, which I've pretty much ruled out. We're in brackish water. There's tons of minerals in this tank. I can't imagine there being a lack of minerals or a deficiency in any minerals for something as simple as Java Fern. I've never experienced this in any of my other tanks, and my other tanks have just as few organics and no minerals. So if anything, I'd be having issues in this tank. I would be, it would be too much minerals would be causing me issues with that. So I'm kind of ruling that out. The other main theory I get is that the way the fern propagates is it just creates little buds, and new little plants will sort of grow off of the existing leaves, and when the plant's matured to a certain point and the roots have gotten big enough that it's self-sustaining, it'll detach and break free. Well, that's possible, but I don't think that's the case either, because I can see the specks where they form, and on most cases what you usually get is what we're looking at right now. You see all of the babies and the new growth developing at the tips of the leaves, not so much dead center. I've also never seen any node develop. The theory goes that as the plant is trying to develop, it can't because it's in the brackish water or some other reason that's preventing it from developing. So the node develops, but it doesn't, and then it just falls off, leaving behind a hole. And that would explain why I've never seen the babies beginning to develop, or the new plants beginning to develop. As the node develops, it rots in place and then falls out. I don't really buy that theory either, especially when you consider the fact that I've got these little sort of hole-punched round bits of green leaf floating around in the tank. So something is clearly punching holes in the leaves. And then the two other theories I've gotten is that it's the Mollies, which I'm pretty sure it's not. I don't even think they would have the capacity to punch holes in leaves like that. And then the last theory is that those are little Butterbean-sized mouth marks. I don't know what else to chalk it up to, but I'm not buying into that one either. I just don't think that's what it is. I've never seen any kind of behavior that would indicate to me in any way that Butterbean is going up to these leaves and somehow managing to get it in his mouth in such a way that he bites a perfectly round hole out of it and then spits the green piece of leaf back out into the tank. But only sometimes, because I only have some of those green things floating around in the tank and not tons of them. So he eats some of them and then spits others out. That just doesn't make any sense. I'm going to chalk it up to small snails. You know, I was thinking about it again yesterday when I was putting some snails in the tank for Butterbean, and my snail tank right now is just overrun with tiny, tiny little snails. It looks like it's been dusted with black specks inside the tank. And so what I've been doing, and what I've done in the past, is I just run my finger along the side, and when I wipe my finger up the side of the glass, I look at it, it's got like a line of black crud. And what that really is a whole bunch of little tiny snails. And when I waggle my finger around in this tank, you just see like this cascade of little tiny snails falling into the tank. And they have to get down in between the substrate, and there's no way he goes around and he finds every single one of those tiny little snails. And I've been doing this for a long time, so some snails must just survive in the tank, and then it's the snails that are in there doing that. I still don't, that's my best working hypothesis, put it that way. I still don't fully buy into that. I've never seen snails that just punch little holes out of the plants. I could be wrong. It could be the nodes that are developing, and then the nodes don't, fully develop, and therefore the piece of leaf that contained the node simply rots in place and then disengages and falls out. I don't know. That's possible, but I'm not convinced of that one yet. So I'm still kind of puzzled by this. I'm chalking it up to snails, but, that's not a fully satisfying explanation for me, so I don't know. Anyway, there was my little video this morning. That was just to get a little bit of footage of Butterbean there swimming around. I know he's a popular fish, and everybody loves to see Butterbean, so if I can take a few minutes to chat while we look at him swim around, I'm more than happy to do so. So make sure you're subscribed. I don't know if this video is even going to be monetized and I'll be able to get it up today or not, but we'll see. That way, if you're subscribed, you won't miss any of it or anything else I've got coming up. So thanks again for watching this one. And don't forget, this tank here is my Brackish tank with Butterbean, my figure 8 puffer. The world famous Butterbean, I might add. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you real soon on the next one.